So warm welcome. Also today we have Romanian translation for the first hour as well. So we'd like to just refresh on the subject of transformation in the form of a couple of quotes for reflection. And the first one is Czech-born psychiatrist Stanislav Grof, and he said, "In the kind of world we have today, transformation of humanity may well be our only real hope for survival." We know that for sure. This second reflective quote is by American historian, sociologist, and philosopher of technology, Lewis Mumford. And he said, "Growth and self-transformation cannot be delegated." Which, it's definitely something that we have control over for our own selves. And I particularly liked yesterday this aspect of creating the right environment to create clarity in order for this transformation to happen through understanding the intellect and paras. Also, importance of company came up as well. And the big subject of how we create bondages through expectations, image of the cloud, and also the option to be free and come with the attitude which promotes freedom for ourselves and for others. So looking forward to today and your participation, questions, and I'm going to hand over now to Prashant. So warm welcome.
Thank you, and hello, and very welcome. Yes, it is nice to hear the essence just now. We all know we want to bring about change in our own way. We understand everyone on the planet know that something needs to change. But also people have difficulty in bringing about change. And the reason, what's the reason? You can type, it is now my turn to ask questions. What's the reason why people have difficulty in bringing about change in themselves?
So first thought here is fear. And
sometimes they want to bring about change in some small way. They don't like to get angry. They don't want to speak too loud. So this kind of things, small things. They know that it is not in their interest, but still they cannot easily bring about change.
So there's old habits, fear of the unknown, ignorance, ego, not knowing the method, no acceptance or power, comfort zone.
Yeah, very good. In other words, people don't know what is a root. For anything in your garden, if you want to remove the weeds, if you just take something superficial, the root is still there and the weed will come again. The root has to be removed. Root and the seed. And it is nice to know that the seed of all that we do not like in ourselves and we do not like in others is Ravan. There's 10 heads of Ravan. That is the root or the seed of everything. I'm literally meaning 100% of the things that you do not like in anyone else. Its root is Ravan, and same thing applies to us. In simple words, we can say false ego, that is created, that is the root of every evil. And on top, we saw also it brings penalties. Vinash forces also come because of this. The function of smriti that we have heard in the past, smriti, the awareness of who I am, and that awareness is, if it is based on the story, then it is ego. And that's why we saw yesterday, if we want to bring about a change, we need to dismantle these heads of Ravan. They will not just go, as we saw, ego wants to survive. Ego wants to get bigger. And so you need a proper approach, the right method. It will not go overnight. We all are students in this process. But if we are going in the right direction, that is worth congratulating. If we are creating time and nourishing the higher consciousness, know what it means, then definitely worth congratulating. And as you are doing this, we also saw you will continue to become free from all the bondages. We create bondages in this story world, temporary world, only because of Ravan. Ravan is, in his ignorance, stuck in that, totally dependent. And so when you nourish soul awareness, or when the soul becomes conscious, his attitude is, he needs nothing from a story. Soul means this, one who is paras and one who has woken up. He understands his independence from the whole story. And in the story includes Prashant. Try and include the role also. Otherwise, ego will say, yes, we want to be soul conscious, but he's mixing the role. That way, the ego still survives. So you are saying, yes, soul, but soul is a point and independent of the whole story. So let us create a few minutes of the practice right now. And one nice way to see this, during these practices, good to immerse. That's why we are here. We create these hours and not to have any other distractions. Right now, let us take an example. Someone by name Tom is acting in his school drama, and he's acting as Mr. Universe in his school drama. It is a bit like a Star Wars kind of drama, high drama. Tom. But when Tom comes home, he doesn't want to bring Mr. Universe with him. He goes home as Tom. And he wants to be with his parents and mommy, daddy. He wants to be with his brothers. He had enough time in the Mr. Universe, and he will go there again next day. But right now, he wants to be with his true family. And silence and stillness, that's what he prefers. So that he will enjoy. If more he is connected to his parents, then next day he can enjoy his Star Wars again, if he wants. In the same way here, when we are seeing this whole thing, we are realizing here is a drama going on. Here, that's why we are saying this gathering, Zoom, it is all happening in a drama. Prashant talking non-stop, that is also happening in a drama. And there is invisible actor behind this. And the invisible actor has his home behind. He has option to step behind. He wants to be in his home of mommy and daddy. And this is the home of silence. He's happy to be in this world of silence. He comes home, he sees his form as a tiny point. Happy to be that incorporeal, to be the point. He doesn't want to take the drama with him. Happy to experience that complete stillness. And happy to experience the simplicity of that home. There is no crown and the throne. That is all the expansion for the drama. Here there is simple and there is silence and there is stillness. This is the home of the true family. They all are like tiny points. But there is a sweet bond. This is the home of sweetness. True family, true father is here. Form of everyone is so different to the story. Just points. But it is an eternal bond. This home is eternal and this family is eternal. As if he can see the drama. Just he crossed the line and he is into the drama. But right now, he is in this true family. In the sweetness. He is happy to experience the solitude of this home. He doesn't want the thoughts of the drama. He doesn't need to. Complete solitude. Most important, he is understanding. This is being sensible. If someone is acting in the drama and doesn't want to go back to his home, doesn't want to leave that Mr. Universe, then it is a situation of concern. It is a situation of delusion. That is what the concern is. Someone wants to believe that he is Mr. Universe and getting drawn into it. It's the same here also. So these invisible actors are happy because they are connected to the reality that is sensible. Not to be connected to reality is a situation of concern. Invisible actors are happy to be in their world, happy to experience their true security, true silence, happy to be in their solitude and to be sensible. And now when they are coming back in the drama, they come with freshness. They are refreshed. They know the baseline. It is like touch base. Drama as its script and episodes finish. He knows what is beyond all this story. That's why he is coming into the drama with enthusiasm and with freshness. Thank you. Today, our subject in this bigger title of transformation will be on metamorphosis. This is a subject that baffles and intrigues biologists and evolutionists and also ordinary mortals, because in a very short time, big transformation happens, and it is a positive transformation. You know how coal changes into diamond, even this is classed as metamorphosis. How a tadpole that is more like a fish, it has got gills and it lives aquatic, it becomes a frog, it develops lungs and loses its tail, gets hind legs and ready to jump and croak. So that is in a short time. These big changes happen, and that's why that is considered to be metamorphosis. Beautiful example for us is butterfly. We are going to see a video on butterflies sometime soon. And in butterfly, the transformation of butterfly, there is a caterpillar. Caterpillar, we don't like caterpillars in your garden. We call them pests, and we invent pesticides. But the same caterpillar becomes a butterfly, and everyone wants butterflies in your garden. So we will see what is the parallel. The animals that go through metamorphosis, they are called holy metaboli, and we are claiming here human beings are one of those who have a part of metamorphosis. That's why it is good for us to study this subject a little bit. But first we'll see a video on butterfly. It is more an entertainment. Excellent. So I'm going to use the whiteboard, and Let us understand this phenomena of metamorphosis in butterflies. It starts, of course, with the egg. Butterflies lays its eggs, and the eggs are laid on your cabbage leaf. Butterfly likes this cabbage leaf. It is done in such a way that when the egg hatches, larva comes out, it can start eating that leaf. So it is there immediately. Food for the future larva. Then this phase may last for 1 week. And from the butterfly comes our famous larva. From the egg comes the larva. And the larva, what's the function of larva? What does larva do in your garden? What is? It has got just one function, and that is it eats. That's right. And it gets fatter and bigger, and it stretches so much that it needs a totally new skin. Just like when children grow, they need new trousers. Every short time, you need a new trouser, new shoes. In the same way, this larva needs new skin. So that is called molting. And sometimes it molts 7 times. It stretches and it needs another different skin, stretches and another skin. So it gets pretty big by the end of 2 weeks. So this phase lasts for 2 weeks. If egg lasts, different butterflies have got different cycles, but this is like a common butterfly. But by itself doesn't matter. Then comes the famous phase called the pupa. And at this level, what really happens, there was some stem, it is a bit like a sometimes leaf or sometimes some tiny twig. It hangs from that twig. And it creates a hard shell round. It secretes and then it becomes a very hard shell. And inside the shell, you want to guess what happens inside the shell? Inside the shell, this butterfly, this larva dissolves and it becomes, I'm trying to get this color. It becomes a liquid.
Yeah. Yes, fine.
So the larva dissolves. So every organ of the larva, salivary glands and skin, intestines, everything becomes liquid, protein-rich soup. And from this pupa comes the next creature, and that is your famous butterfly. And it is ready to fly and perform a dance and create happiness around. So that is the butterfly. Pupa lasts for 2 weeks. If the larva stage lasts for 2 weeks, pupa also for 2 weeks. Some things we like to know in this. All along, there is something called imaginal cells. Imaginal cells are like these cells are there at the level of the egg. Imaginal cells are there at the level of the larva. They are in the form of the disc, so sometimes they are called discs, imaginal discs. Those imaginal cells are at the level of the pupa. So those imaginal discs are here. And what is happening, these imaginal cells, they are the future butterfly. So when we come to the level of the pupa and everything has dissolved and become liquid, these imaginal cells are now activated. And they start growing, and they use this protein-rich soup in the formation of the butterfly. So in other words, these imaginal cells are the future butterfly. And those cells were there at the level of the egg also. Most important, we need to know 2 enzymes. One is called juvenile hormone. And another is called ecdysone. I'd like to give this parallel, just like in human beings, there are hormones like estrogen, progesterone. Everyone got these hormones in the body. And this ratio of this and the balance of this influences our, especially in women, their monthly cycle, and the behavior of the body is influenced by the ratio, proportion of these hormones. They change. In the same way, the juvenile hormone and ecdysone, it influences the dynamics. Juvenile hormone works for the larva, ecdysone works for the butterfly. In other words, if the juvenile hormone level is higher, larva continues to remain larva, continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger and dies as a larva. If the juvenile hormone level remains more than ecdysone. If the ecdysone level rises more, ecdysone works for the butterfly. So it is the ecdysone level that starts the process of larva dissolving itself. So this is like an extraordinary thing in the animal world. No animal you normally want to just dissolve. Everyone want to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They eat. And you don't see anyone just choosing. But here you see this phenomena in the case of metamorphosis. The creature here, that day earlier it was trying to eat, get bigger. And suddenly you are seeing it chooses to dissolve. And so what is it that triggers this transformation? It is because there is a more ecdysone, and the enzyme had changed. And this ecdysone it works for the future butterfly. And to get a butterfly, larva has to dissolve. So it triggers the process of dissolution. So these are the two factors, yeah, that we saw. We are saying that there is parallel in human beings. And what is a parallel? Human beings, we start at a certain point, but we reach a level where we want to get bigger and bigger and want more and more. It can be anything. Want a bigger hat and more money and more food and whatever it is. Please give me more. Please praise me more. Love, love. Yes, I want more love. So everything gobbling up. And need to mold. A few times. So that happens. That is the process of, the larva getting bigger. But then, if it goes to the next level, and this level is dissolving of all this ego. If it goes for that level, then there is a future transformation that is possible. And spiritual process is this. What we are discussing yesterday and various times and every murli that you heard, what you are hearing is Ravan has to be dissolved completely. And ego has to be dissolved. So you also see in the society, everyone is working to make the ego bigger. Why do they want a bigger hat? Why do they want more and everything? They want more. So that ego will be placed. They want the different heads, 10 heads of ego. They all want to get bigger. So that was a phase. But then the same person chooses to dissolve. But having taken this decision, he is not really a loser. We are seeing that within that is a greater wisdom. He ends up discovering the butterfly. So something deep inside him, and we can call this, the future angel, in the butterfly imaginal cells. That future angel, that seed is there. If that is activated, then he understands this has to go. All these Ravan's hates and vices, they all have to be dissolved. And he works for the future angel. Now, question for you, what is the equivalent of juvenile hormone for us? As we have said, these hormones, one hormone works for the larva, or to keep the larva bigger, and it dies as a larva if it doesn't go to the next level. So that is one. And actizone works for the butterfly. So what is the equivalent of juvenile hormone for us? And what is the equivalent of actizone for us?
So ego is juvenile, ignorance, desire, greed, small I, pata, intellect.
Sure. And what is the equivalent for actizone?
Parasintellect. Big I.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. What we are seeing, all answers are right, but the word we are using here, Maya is like the way we define Maya is like an intelligence in our system, and Maya is working for Ravan. So here, the larva, that itself is ego. It wants to get bigger and bigger. Then the ego is already, in this case, already there. And there is intelligence there, clever arguments, to support support ego. So Maya's cleverness, Maya is the one that tells you, you want to bring about change, do it tomorrow, start tomorrow. Today you are tired. Maya is the one that will come with many excuses. It doesn't want to dissolve, doesn't want ego to dissolve. Maya says it is difficult. It is, you are very weak in this. So all their cleverness. But Maya's absolute program is to keep the person as larva and get bigger. Larva gets bigger and bigger. That is determined. Maya is just like juvenile hormone. It can only do that function. It cannot do something else. So here, that Maya has got that program. And what is actizone? The knowledge, spiritual knowledge is actizone. In what way? Knowledge makes this dissolution easy. If there is no knowledge, it is difficult. How do you, it is a struggle. You feel, why should I be doing it? I want to eat more. Why should I want bigger? It can be, if the ego is more tamopradhan, he doesn't mind robbing also, stealing. He wants to get bigger by any means. At the early stage, he will try to get it by the right methods. But as the ego becomes bigger and more degradation, as the degradation comes in, then he can go to any level. He can bribe, he can rob, he can lie. It can reach any level. The sign of inner degradation. But bottom line, it is rubber. It is demonic. Its seed is demonic. So here, suddenly to dissolve, that is not possible without knowledge. How knowledge makes it easy? Let us see. Just revising. What does the knowledge tell us? Knowledge tells us something that is obvious. For example, if our time here is temporary, knowledge says it is temporary. And we exit. Let me give an example. Someone gives you a diamond, most precious diamond, the Queen, Queen of England gives you the Kohinoor diamond. She says, this is totally for you. She got it from the great-great-grandfather, but now this is for you. This is yours for 5 seconds. She says, it is totally yours, but just for 5 seconds. Will you start believing that is mine? It is, she says, and no one else can argue with it. She says, it's totally yours for 5 seconds. It means nothing really for you. The 5 seconds, or you don't have it with you. It means nothing. I can touch it, no problem. I can hold it, but you won't start believing this is mine. Instead of 5 seconds, it is 10 seconds. Does it change? Instead of 5 seconds, it is 100 years. Does it change? It is still temporary. Now, if some stone intellect can be deceived by this, instead of 5 seconds, if it is said it is 5 years, he can start believing it and get deceived in it. Someone who might think it is mine, and not just this mine, this is mine, this is my people also, this is my. He gets into this deception. That is what we call agyan, ignorance. Something that's obvious, we can't see it. Someone else can see clearly. What is this? In 5 seconds, you are thinking this is mine. We have to go now. And the rest of the day, you will cry that you lost my diamond. So, but someone else can be deceived. So here, in something that is obvious. We have an exit and he cannot see it at all and goes into such a degradation, gets so caught up. Yesterday we saw, creates such a bondage. It is not a relationship, just because of your agyan, this blind spot. The intellect is as if blocked. Now what we are doing, repeatedly reminding ourselves, seeing the bigger picture, using paras, making paras strong, that is necessary. Knowing paras is one thing and making paras strong, that is another. So by all this, you are now seeing the bigger map clearly. You are seeing your true, what really belongs to you. It is eternal. Here, including yourself. Can you see the scale of our ignorance? Even definition of I itself is based on something that is temporary. Just like diamond, it is just there with you for 5 seconds and you think it is mine, but it is, we bring the letter I to this. In this world, it is all temporary. So Agyan has reached its extreme, creating ego based on things here and thinking this body is I, really believing it, and then really disturbed and that this body is going to die. Childish. But now you are bringing in knowledge. You are bringing gyan. You are seeing the obvious picture. You are seeing the temporary nature here. You are seeing the story nature of this, fictional nature. You are seeing the bigger reality. Now that you have seen it, when something appears so absurd to create an I, based on something that is temporary, you are associated, almost like 5 seconds. As we said, that is fun. For paras, 100 years or 5 seconds, they are so obviously short. So for you, 5 seconds or 5 milliseconds, does it matter in a big way? The difference is 1,000 times difference. But you say 5 seconds, 5 milliseconds, so what? It is, you can see something another level. In the same way for paras, whether it is 5 seconds, 5 hours, or 100 years, they can see it as if it is a 5 seconds. They can see what is obvious, and so is not deceived by it. His orientation brings him to what is eternal. Very happy with that, and he finds it easy to dismantle all these ego that are created and all these attachments that are created here, all the vices that are created. That's why knowledge is like that active zone that helps to dissolve. Anytime there is a resistance to remove the ego or remove the vices, remove some attachment, just means the enzyme is missing. I have not understood something. There is some ignorance in that area. You shine more light, you will find it. It becomes so obvious and you can drop it more easily. Then it is fun. You are not fighting. It is not that someone else tells me drop attachment and I say, why should I drop attachment? And just I'm listening to this, and then it means I am still with a different enzyme. I'm in ignorance and trying to remove the ego. But here we need the knowledge. It is a smooth process. We all have heard this word, Rudra Gyan Yagya. In Madhuban, which is our headquarters, they don't use the word spiritual university, Brahma Kumaris. They don't use this word. They use the word yajna. And yajna means sacrificial fire. In the Vedic tradition in India, some system that started, thousands of years ago, there is understanding, and that's why there is that tradition. If you sacrifice, it is in your interest. You get a return, and it is positive, brings good omens, auspicious. So if there is some calamity going to come, or there is a calamity, they do the yajna, it changes the stars. You become fortunate. Whatever you sacrifice, that is like you get 100 times more, 1,000 times more. So you may sacrifice grains, and the rest of the year you will get lots of grains. This understanding is there. So that is the concept of the yajna. How far it is true or false, I don't know. I don't know the claim. But from what I understood, the concept, there is some truth behind this system. The very fact something lasts for thousands of years, there is some benefit in it. They have taken benefit. But we catch hold of this mythological name, and the yajna, a sacrificial fire. And we say, here is the whole institution is Jnana Yajna, which means it is a sacrificial fire of knowledge. It is not a physical fire. There is no fire to renounce grains or gold, but it is a fire of knowledge. And in a physical fire, say big landlord, sacrificial fire, a big landlord may start this yajna. It may last for 12 days. And he has to make this all the provision. The yajna, once it starts, shouldn't stop in between. So he has to see that there are enough grains and seeds to keep this going for 12, 14 days. And on the last day, he makes it available to the people of the town. So anyone can come and throw a handful of their grains into this fire. And each one knows if they throw a handful of grains, they will get the return of it. That is, they are doing it for themselves. Someone might bring a pot full of grains and sacrifice. So it is good for them. Someone might come and throw gold in it. Whatever you sacrifice, you get a return. That is the understanding in the people. How big is your heart to sacrifice? That is the question. Do you want to sacrifice all of yours or just one handful? No, each one can choose, decide. So here is the Jnana Yajna, yajna of knowledge. And in this yajna, it starts, Baba starts this yajna. And that's why it is called Rudra, Jnana Yajna. Rudra is a name for God. So there is a yajna here. And what is the function of this yajna? Yajna is established. Yajna's function is we are understanding the knowledge, and end of this knowledge, it helps us dismantle all this ego. We understand this all has to go into this fire, yajna. Whatever I thought is me, my. In your understanding, you are not physically going and throwing it in the fire, but you are understanding that cannot be mine anymore. This is the material of the story. Just like we gave the example earlier, Tom is acting as Mr. Universe. And if he believed I am Mr. Universe, that is a delusion. But when it comes in the Gyan, knowledge, he realizes that is a delusion, and that delusion has to be dissolved. Dissolved. This Gyan Yagya helps you to dissolve it. So now you are saying that that whole position is there, but it is not me. You become free from it. And if you can apply this to every bit of this, whether it is people or objects or all the material is of the drama. Ideas, skills, talents, you don't need them. Skills and talents, you don't need them in your home. Those talents also are here for the drama. So you use them, but internally you are saying nothing is mine. Your position is, it all belongs to God. You are using it for the task of God. So that is like a transformation. Instead of putting the label my everywhere, my talents, my skills, my head, my children, you are dissolving it all. Mine. It is all from the story. At most, nothing belongs to God either. God is free from the story also. But you are having the attitude, let it, I want to see it as something that belongs to God, and I remain a trustee. At most a trustee, using it for the task of God. So this whole enzyme, it is internally bringing about this transformation. Like for example, right now, we are using this computer. It is possible to put a label my to anything here. One who is using knowledge, he says, how can anything here from this story world ever belong to me? So this me, I, these words, he doesn't use them easily. Me, my, I. So his attitude is to start with, nothing is mine. Okay, let me see it as to be used for God's task. Happy to use it and see it as belongs to God. But I'm a trustee at the moment and want to use it sensibly. Don't want to use it for something else and breach that trust. So I certainly don't want to use it for our. Same is this body. This body is also the mask from the drama. It is the material from the drama. The soul knows that he did not bring anything with him here. He doesn't need it beyond here. So he remains loosely involved. By this attitude, he says, not mine, it is God's. I'm a trustee of this body, trustee of the whole thing. What is the best way to deal with it? Okay, use it. Internally, he doesn't get deceived into this attitude of getting trapped in it. Otherwise, it can get drawn. You can get drawn into it. People, this is extra attention. To believe that someone I can own is a big delusion. For whatever reason, to start with the whole thing, this body itself is not mine. How can someone else can be mine? They are all souls. They are also trustees. I had a responsibility for a certain age, certain time. It is not forever. They are individuals. Try and be free from this me, my, because one bondage prevents you from flying. And then Ravan's department comes in. So a trustee at most, but not unnecessarily trustee. Something doesn't belong to me. How can I be a trustee? Only where it is required in the God's task, then it is trustee. Now, if this is introduced, then it is like a beautiful method to dissolve all these little bondages that are created here. The larva gets dissolved. Maybe for butterfly to dissolve the larva may be easier. For us to dissolve these different heads of Ravan, it needs more knowledge. It needs more enzyme. But that's why we have to churn, understand, revisit, try and understand in your own life. Is there anything that needs dissolving? Is it still holding? Worth checking this area? And if it is not happening, then we need more enzyme. That is all. We need more clarity. Proof that someone is understood, then the bones will be dissolved. If I'm still holding on to the bone, then I may be giving many wonderful talks. But if I'm still holding on to the bones and nothing getting dissolved, then I'm not knowledgeable. Proof of knowledge is the bones are dissolved. If full bone is dissolved, then you get full wings. Butterflies with full wings. If half the bone is dissolved, you get half the wing. Understand? No? If very little is dissolved, the houseflies also have wings, but they are short wings. So we want to go for full butterfly. So, the game is different at the present time. There was a time, to eat and be a big larva. That was at one time. But now the game is different. We have understood. We are working at another level. And it is in everyone's interest. It is in our interest. It is in everyone's interest. Knowledge never brings any, there will never be regret. If anything is done with knowledge, there is never regret. Anything done under the influence of ignorance, darkness, there will be regrets. Excellent. Maybe if you want to say anything, ask anything. Do you like all this? Formation of butterfly?
Yes. Comment, amazing. Yes, love it. A question that just came. If what you put into the yagya multiplies back to you, then if you dismantle ego, what are you putting into the sacrificial fire?
Yeah. What happens is this ego itself is going in this sacrificial fire of knowledge. You are dismantling ego. In the understanding, you are like, life is still going on, but I have an attitude, this body is not mine. It is a body that belongs to God. I am using it for the task of God, as trustee. that itself is so nice. You will forget this attitude, but you bring it back again. You lose it, you bring it back. And in time, it should become natural. Same way, play with the idea. Yeah, as we said, there's a computer. It is not mine. Try and use this language also. And we have one. I remember one sister in Italy. When she shows her house, that is where she say all the time say, this is Baba's garden, this is Baba's flowers, this is Baba's kitchen. Nothing, never uses the word, even by mistake. But it is not a mechanical language. Others also feel this is God's. Simple things she's using. It is God's. And she deeply has this attitude, and that is healthy. And to keep this position that we are invisible travelers and we are passing through this story world. In this story world, nothing, no one can ever be mine. And we are just dismantling delusion to come back to this position again and again. That is healthy.
Thank you. And it's really nice to get the feeling of this example. So it helps to relate. Question: does this transformation process sometimes require shock treatment?
Drama brings pain, and but that is the later stage. At this point, our aim is to learn through knowledge, and doesn't look like there is a shock. Drama might still bring some little shock and pain, but to see it as positive. Yesterday we said some people learn through crisis, and our aim is to learn through wisdom. So why wait for the shock? It is not compulsory. We understand knowledge, we clarify, understand, put into practice, churn, and it is a enjoyable process.
Yes, it relates to yesterday's subject of learning through wisdom rather than waiting for the big pain. Question here: when imaginal cells increase in number and cross a certain threshold, metamorphosis happens in butterflies. So could the equivalent be that the human race is the process, and metamorphosis will happen when the number of individuals with no ego cross a threshold?
Of course, with that analogy, that is true also. But right now, to see that, the example of imaginal cells, see it, you all remember this image that we used. Remember this image? So there are lots and lots of ego within us, but in the midst of all this, there is the soul consciousness. Seed is there, soul conscious seed. That is like a future angel. And what is represented here with the image of the point is soul consciousness. Soul is an entity. This is a smriti, what is happening in the awareness. So this is representing the imaginal cells. Let me use different color. So this represents the imaginal cells. And we want to nourish these imaginal cells. And every minute I stay in that awareness, it is a nourishment. Every minute I stay in the ego awareness, it feeds the ego. So our aim is to nourish here. So this is at a totally individual level, and this is guaranteed. Once the process starts, sooner or later, you will reach this full-fledged butterfly. This consciousness represents butterfly.
It's a comment that it was found very helpful that our talents are only useful in the corporeal world, and we don't have to rely on them or be proud of them. And a comment, values, which is horizontal knowledge used for everything at all times, are the real diamonds.
Yes. Yeah, that is a nice observation. That we may feel it is easy to detach from gross things, but some of the subtle things like talents and virtues and skills, we can create attachments, ego based on many other things. Feeling can come. And just like I can lose something, and whatever can lose anything of this world, so also the talent, skills, you might find you lose them, you get them, you lose them. And to see it as a trusted, and there is no sorrow. You just take with physical world also. Many things they come to you, you lose them. There will be no sorrow if there is inner right positioning. Only when we come into delusion, then Ravan's department starts and Ravan's sorrow starts. When we show that dotted line, that is crossing into delusion, deception. So do you want to dissolve like this idea? There are some people in history, Gandhi is one example, and it was extraordinary, without knowledge, not a formal knowledge, he did not hear, but he worked out himself in his own way. But many people, and first everyone else wants more for himself. Here is one who is willing to die for some higher cause, willing to dissolve, doesn't want more. And is he a loser? Was he a loser in the long term? Answer is no. It's just that some are working for the butterfly, some are working for the larva. That was the difference. Short term, he was not a loser either, but long term also, they are not losers. Because well, long term, I mean after death, what goes with them is a butterfly that goes with them.
So there aren't any other questions right now. So if you would like to share any final reflections before we create time for a short break room discussion.
Let us create a few minutes of attention again. And some practice. And the easiest and the best for us is first, second, check if we are still using paras. It is like a reset. And if paras is there, then everything is in place. We are seeing that the invisible soul is the invisible traveler. He is also the invisible observer of this great story. It is an extraordinary gift, this story. So many things are happening in this story. But story, invisible traveler knows the temporary time that he is here in the story. Very aware of his exit. Very aware of his world beyond. And his world beyond, there is his true family. This is the world of the true Father. We are talking about God. One who is the wisest and the highest. He understands that he is immensely lucky. Every level, he got the best. The best home, best father, best family. He lacks nothing and needs nothing. And also, he got a great gift of this story. For him, immortality is normal. He discovers this dimension, world of truth, the world of immortality, world with God, world of love and happiness. What a gift. Plus, the story is a bonus. He certainly doesn't want to go in that story and get into some pettiness, create attachments and lose all this magic. As we continue on the journey, we remember the beautiful truth. We remember the need of the best sight, best intellect, need to make it stronger so that it becomes more and more natural. Thank you. So if we are meeting in the rooms, the one area for us to discuss would be, the subject of transformation, how the larva changes into butterfly, and what is the parallel within us. How can we make this quick process and make the garden beautiful.
Very nice. So we put the reflective question in the chat, and you will get an invitation shortly to join the room. Just a reminder, if you're happy to use the camera, it would be very nice to meet each other, and we'll have about around 15 minutes. And if you're in the wrong room, there should be a help button, and Nicole will be coming to assist. So enjoy, and we'll meet back. Thank you. I hope that you had a chance to share. We'll create a moment of reflection together before we continue. So welcome back, and I hope translation is working. I think Stephen just needs to toggle back to Western Balkans and unmute, and then all is good. So we would like to invite you to participate in a short quiz, and you're welcome to unmute for this. Your camera won't come in the recording because I've been spotlit. So it's a first come, first serve quiz. So are you ready for this?
Ready for this?
And when you've answered, you can unmute afterwards, would be great. So juvenile hormone, what is it?
Maya.
Maya.
Yeah, symbolic reason is Maya. And when you've answered, just feel free to mute again, because we can hear a lot of feedback.
Works for lava.
Right, very nice. Yes. So it works for the larva, and spiritual analogy is Maya. An ectosome hormone?
Spiritual knowledge.
Works for the butterfly.
Works for the butterfly.
3 months.
Works for the butterfly.
What do you need to get a butterfly?
Wings.
The wings.
Spirituality.
Process of egg, larva,
Soul
pupa,
consciousness.
and then dissolving.
Yes.
Pupa.
Love has to dissolve. What makes a person want to dissolve the ego?
Knowledge.
Yes, yes. And also the future angel.
Consciousness.
Awareness.
Be free. Needs the connection with God.
Awaken the soul.
Equal to the Father.
Maybe anyone would just like to mute now. If anyone would like to just mute after you've answered. Very nice. Okay, a couple of questions. What makes this process easy?
Trust and faith.
Yes.
Paras intellect.
Paras was mentioned. Yes. What does Paras tell us?
Big picture.
The future. Yes. Knowledge. Okay. Yes.
Soul consciousness, yeah. Or
Soul consciousness. Paras tells us to exit in the blind spot. What is the meaning of Gyan Yagya?
Sacrificial
Sacrificial fire.
Fire of knowledge.
Thanks, very good. And what does it help you do?
Yoga.
Yes.
Dissolve ego.
Dissolve ego.
To
And what
dissolve
is
10 heads of
Right.
Ravan.
Burn all the vices.
all the vices? Yes, me, I, mine was mentioned. And what does the attitude, what attitude does it give us?
Surrender. Trustee. Trustee.
Trustee, yeah. Surrender to God. And lightness was mentioned, yes. If the caterpillar is not dissolving, if the larva is, if it's not dissolving, what is needed if we're not dissolving?
Because the good seed is not that good.
Ecking is so
Knowledge.
Very good. More knowledge.
The Vinash process.
Okay, last question. What is the proof that knowledge is working?
Self-transformation.
Happiness and joy.
They're
butterfly.
I dissolve.
Of having more and
Happiness
more
and joy.
Connection, unity.
You see progress in yourself as well.
Ego dissolved.
Very good.
Clarity, yeah.
Thank you, everyone. That worked reasonably well. We did very well with all your response. And nice. You feel free, yes, true feeling, and also bones are dissolved. Thank you so much, everyone. And you can enjoy the last part of the session. Any more questions, feel free. And also any sharing from your discussion. Thank you.
And you also got a exit. No, the poll, Zoom poll, not the exit poll. Do you want to do it now?
Yes, we have a quick question, 2 questions we would like to ask. So on your screen, there should be a question that comes up. Okay, thank you for this. Hopefully another few seconds. We will just share the results. Don't worry if you haven't found the right buttons, you can always write in the chat. Okay, so we'll just share and hopefully you can see. Yes, there's only one question so far. We'll ask the other one separately. So thank you. And second question coming up, the shorter one. If anyone wants to know more about morning class and you're not sure, feel free to message us. We can connect you with your local centre as well. So we've all got the hang of the poem now. Excellent. Just sharing the results. Thanks, everyone. So back to Prashant.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'll tell you one more story. We heard this beautiful image of the butterfly, and it is very good image. And definitely the image of transformation. And we said not all creatures go through transformation like this, metamorphosis. But human beings have got this, classification. We are part of this holy metabolic. And which means we have a destiny of transformation on such a scale. When we see the bigger map, at a body level, if we just see the larva, it appears that is the destiny. But when we see the bigger map, we realize that is not the destiny. And we have the option to bring in new enzyme, new factors, catalyst. So another analogy, and this is in the form of a story. Some of you heard the story, but it is nice, very useful to be reminded. In this story, one insect was on the back of a pig in a farm. And this insect finds a patch of mud and says, wow, she is so lucky to get this big land. And he's so excited with this new land he has found. And he's busy building fence and putting notices, trespassers not allowed. One eagle comes and says, do you want to come to the sky? Do you want to become an eagle? And he says, no, I found this land. I don't want to risk losing this land. And what is there in the sky? And he says, I will show you the clouds and world beyond the clouds. You will see the sun, you will see mountains, you will see valleys. I will show you the animals, trees. And you will also see this pig properly, So he says, sounds great idea, but next week, come again. By that time, I would have finished this fence. So eagle comes a week later. Do you want to come? Yes, now I have found more land. And I am now busy here, to secure these other opportunities. These are rare things. But a week later, so eagle comes a week later. Do you want to come? He says, now, I got some cracks in my land. I am busy fixing these cracks. And I myself need help here. So how can I just drop it all and go to the sky? So I am not coming. So this is the destiny of the insect, remains there on his land, on the back of the pig, and eagle goes back to the sky. This story gives us the insight into the level of consciousness that exists in this world. It exists. The one consciousness is there, and another consciousness is something different. Eagle would never choose to become an insect. Even though insect has his own ideas of success and progress and busy, that's why he doesn't want to let go of this. But there's no comparison. And this analogy is good for us to be aware of, because ego is like that. Ego brings us into such a level, it is extreme. The contrast we have is extraordinary, just like day and night. In the same way, these are extreme things. They're definitely for us. And when we are in this pettiness, even if there is no negative feeling, but just you are losing the sky. You are caught into some level of degradation, attached to something, some cheap kind of pleasures. That is the life of Ravan and ego. Definitely, in the environment of ignorance. Nice image. Say someone there is a toy, a nice toy for a child. But if the insect was to deal with that toy, or insect consciousness, then he can't see the toy. But his whole idea is to get a piece of that toy and run as quickly as possible to get a. And so in that, at that level, insect consciousness, their big success is to break the toy, get as big piece of that broken toy, and think that you are so clever. This is exactly what happens, and then that is what we have made of this planet, of this drama. Everyone is approaching it with that approach. He wants a little bit bigger piece, but he can't see the toy that exists. If even few step out of this, see the bigger map and see what it is for, you realize completely different game altogether. No comparison. Just like what the eagle is seeing and what insect is seeing. No comparison. Same for the angel. Soul conscious soul is an angel. But even as you are playing with this, you are seeing the contrast that is there within ourselves. One level, one idea, definition of success and all this, it can take over. The big thing about this Maya and ego, it can just block the other option altogether. You might not even, that is what we mean by being unconscious. Sita remains unconscious. That is when this insect can continue. So this ego kind of based life, Ravan based life, can put one into such danger suddenly, and then it goes on. Time is wasted. Our right now, we can be sensible to see that there is every day, regular awakening that is happening. More than once, but at least every day, that you don't let this blocked, this process be blocked by this eagle, by the insect consciousness. So we were telling this story to one gathering, and one students gathering in one university, and one girl said, her life is, she's at the level of cracks, level 3, not trying to more land, but now fixing the cracks. That is my life. And someone else said, I'm doing PhD on cracks, fixing the cracks. So what will you tell if someone says, I'm doing PhD on cracks and I'm busy, on this project? What is, should she, her question was, should I drop it all and go to the sky? Or should I complete my PhD before going to the sky? What is your answer to this?
One response, yes, drop it all. Or another is do both. Change the consciousness. Go now, fly.
That's good, yeah. The best thing is no compromise on the eagle. Wouldn't like to stay in that insect level 1 second more. And if I still feel I want to complete that PhD and it might be useful for others, do it as an eagle. There is no justification to be continuing as an insect for 1 second longer. You're not in the interest of anyone, others or for the self. Game is like this. And as we said, when one operates with knowledge, you will never regret. As time progresses, there will never be regret. You will be fond of your past. Happy to let us see if there are any questions or any comments.
Question that came a little earlier. Is tapasya, you might need to clarify the meaning, is tapasya the same as sacrificial fire?
Tapasya is meditation, deep meditation is tapasya. And a sacrificial fire is, they all complement each other. In sacrificial fire, as we said, we are using that for the whole knowledge, the process of knowledge, institution with knowledge, the purpose of the institution, that is like, so more there is meditation, means, you are soul conscious, you are seeing things more clearly. Our idea of meditation, tapasya, our idea of this is you are alive to the knowledge. It is not just information. You are woken up. The soul that is conscious, he lives in the knowledge. Then it is tapasya. And so that definitely complements the process. He will not be holding on to junk. If anyone is into full awakening, he automatically lets go of what is ignorance.
Thank you. There is a question that came on the email, so it's not directly connected to the discussion today, but it would be nice to have an answer. Understanding that we have different roles to play, but if there isn't an acceptance, if there is acceptance of that, there would be no feeling of competition, no hatred, no jealousy. But the feeling in this person, they were saying, I just cannot feel that acceptance. And could you clarify so that the intellect can accept that every soul has a different role? And perhaps if you have an example you could give to help with this.
Sure. Say if you are acting in a drama, some children's drama, and someone is acting as a camel, and someone is acting as an elephant, and someone. Once we were making a drama, just a 5-10 minute drama. And at one point, someone suggested, we have to change everything. And we just changed, everyone changed. Everyone is happy to change the parts. Someone else is playing what he rehearsed all this time, just change. And they were all happy. When you are seeing the drama as drama, you enjoy the whole drama. It is not just my part. Camel has to be important. Why am I playing the part of camel? I should be elephant. No, you enjoy the whole drama. The paras and all helps you to see the whole. When we get into patthar and ego, he doesn't even understand the drama, that it is drama. And then we get caught into the me and part, and it has all become me, for ego, and it matters. Same happens here in this drama. More with the soul, we see it from that perspective, even for minutes. See, the whole thing is a joke. It's a stunt. This drama, and someone is acting one part, someone is acting as a king, someone is acting something. It's a joke. And there is birth and death. The whole thing is you are seeing with that complete freedom for a few minutes, and you will lose it and come back again. And as you do this, then you will find you are enjoying the whole drama. It's such a extraordinary fun just to see the whole thing. Someone acting as a joker, someone acting as a robber, someone acting. That's the way the drama is. Nothing really matters. Someone is acting as a king and someone is acting as, some subject. It is a joke. What is really important is to grasp, to get in touch with this extraordinary reality beyond the drama. Once we grasp it, then nothing matters. What part you play does nothing matter.
Yes, it's like grasping the fullness behind and beyond the drama, then we actually can manage the drama better. So we don't need to try to solve our relationship and feelings with the drama first to come out of it. So there aren't any other questions. I know we've come to time. So if you want to share any final comments, and then we also have a drill for reflection.
Sure. Yeah, definitely remember this image. I feel this image of the insect and the eagle, that is very practical for us. Am I coming into pettiness? And to be reminded there is a better option for us. That language used is soul, but understand it is such a shift. Yes, it will be nice to listen to the transmission and hear Baba's words, but also take drishti, means then grasp the vibrations, presence.
Just a final question to clarify. Is the eagle the prince and the insect the beggar?
Yeah, these are different analogies to show these two options. Yeah.
So something, an image to hold in mind is useful for reflection. And thanks so much to everyone for your participation and presence. And we'll share this short drill and enjoy the rest of your day.
अभी 1 सेकंड में एकदम देश से न्यारी powerful आत्मक रूप में स्थित हो सकते